Meow, meow, meow. Man, feels so empty without me.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustle and dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a comforting grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
All right, we are back. It's Sunday, July the 12th, 2026. Give me a mic check. Let me know if you can hear the microphone okay. Let me know if you can hear the bell okay. And let me know if you can hear everything okay. This is Coffee with Frankie. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. We're back. It's July the 12th. We took a little time off. And now we're here. Let me know if you can hear the microphone in the chat. We got some people in the chat. Let me know if you can hear. Let me know if you can hear. Let me know if you can hear these things so I can know I'm not going crazy. Phil Adams, audio bell, 100%. All right. So we got everything working now. Okay, that's coming up. Peg and Artie are here. Phil Adams is here. The Dodester is here. Yes, please do subscribe to the channel. Like this video as you come in. It really helps the algorithm. Subscribe, like, and I would also say join the inner circle, just like Deuteronomy over here. Because really, the inner circle is going to be the place to be moving forward. But also chemtrails. So he mentions chemtrails over here. We got a column. We write a column. Jamini writes a column. How come I can't write a column? Well, mine is called Chemtrails. We write it at frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. Substack is the place for independent creators. We're not paid by ESPN or any other bum organization like that. It's independent media. This is what you want. You go to frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. You can see we got a column about Michael Walker right here and a bunch of other things. Brandon Sorsby, Brian Duker, Coach Freddie Bobs, lots of other things here at Chemtrails. Frankie from Flatbush. Substack.com comes right into your email inbox. It's a beautiful thing. Subscribe today. All right. So Deuteronomy's here. Phil Adams is here. He's over in England. He's not even in America. This guy over here. Doge says, I met Rich Shimani yesterday. Oh, I'm so sorry for you. He said I might be the first Jets fan he ever met that became a fan of the team during the 1-15 season. Oh. So instead of taking a cream pie and shoving it in the face of Rick Shimani, you decide to have a conversation with him. Huh? People make their choices in life. Baganardi here. Deuteronomy. JoJo's here. JoJo was a man from Tucson, Arizona. Get back, JoJo. Joe Mike is here. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, Cotter. Remember that one? Took place in Brooklyn. Welcome back, Mr. Cotter. Shady's here. All right, everybody says that the audio and visual and the bell, all good. So we got a new microphone right here. That's why we're picking up the bell. And hopefully the microphone is better than before. Should be. We could also do things like play the harmonica. Remember we couldn't do this? So we can do that. We can do different things. Superfan says, sounds good. Yeah, good thing you didn't bring up my name, Doge. Well, first of all, he wouldn't have. He'd be like, what are you talking about? Adams says, always a good read from Frankie. Yeah, I believe I'm the best Jets columnist around. I'm better than Chimini now. I don't have any sources. So that's the only advantage. Chimini has sources, of course. And the only reason that people call Rich Cimini back is because he works for ESPN. So nobody would call him back on his own accord. But because he works for ESPN, yeah, I better call this schmuck back. Worked for ESPN. Yeah. So he's got sources. But other than that, I'm the best columnist out there. You want the best? You go to frankiefromflatbush.substack.com where the independent creators, not supported by bum corporations like Disney, the Mickey Mouse Corporation. You want to support Big Mouse or you want to support independent media? Go to Substack. Check it out. Check it out. Sharon, she's a member. Sorry, I went back and listened to that song again. I don't know what song. Maybe the Frankie from Flatbush song. The Frankie from Flatbush song should be listened to 24 hours a day. Let's be honest. Just put it on loop. Grab it, put it on loop, and just listen to it 24 hours a day. It's one of the best songs of all time. Hidden Gem. Yeah, well, yeah. Compared to some of these people out here, I sure am hidden. Tell your friends and family about old Frankie so we can drive up the subscriber base. Doge says, harmonica, 100%. Something to mess around with. I'm not good on the harmonica. Howling. No, I'm not good musically, but we like to have fun around here sometimes. I'm not very good with the music, but, we like to have fun. Stryker says, I like the harmonica. All right, Stryker. It's also good for your lungs, apparently. It's like a health thing, so that's good. Jojo says, I'm ready for training camp. Well, you got a couple of weeks to go, Jojo. Says, now can Gino just carry his driver's license? I know, it's the weirdest thing. We gotta we got a part about that in the column today called, what did I call it? At the end, Geno Smith versus driver's licenses. I mean, just carry your license, Geno, please. God's sakes. So I agree. That's kind of strange. Hopefully, we don't get any more news about Geno other than him coming to camp and getting ready for the season. Guy refuses to take his license. Yeah. What are you going to do? New mic is good. I even heard a little. Let's hope not. You probably heard some harmonica. That might have been me. Yeah, I think it was you, Super. All right, so we do have a couple of news items. We're a couple of weeks away from training camp, but probably the biggest news item that came out recently, last couple of days, was about Terion Arnold. So this is segment 1 for the show. Terion Arnold, who's facing some legal troubles, got released by the Detroit Lions, and it got reported that the Jets were one of the teams that were interested. So in potentially signing him. This had to be said in court because they had to decide whether he should wear an ankle monitor or not. And the idea is that if he might be employed soon, since right now he's unemployed, but if he's going to be employed by an NFL team soon, he shouldn't wear the monitor because that would, it's hard to play football with an ankle monitor on. And the judge agreed, okay, he's not employed now, but it looks like he might be employed by somebody, so no need for an ankle monitor, so that's good. But it's a strange case, so we put up a poll. We said, let's let the Jet fans vote. And this was the result of the vote. 60% yes, we should sign him. 36% no. 4% said depends on what Joe Benigno says about it. But here's some of the particulars that I wrote. Per Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press, Jets, one of 4 teams interested in signing Arnold. Situation involves a plot to steal back property that was originally stolen from him and his associates. And I put something out on X saying, if you steal back things that were originally stolen from you, is it really stealing? There's a philosophical question. Like, if you're standing there, if you steal $10 from me, and then a week later I steal back $5, do I go to jail? And the cops catch me, but not you. I go to jail? I'm stealing back what you stole from me. This is a weird case. We may or may not be having Arnold come in for a workout next week. Aaron Glenn coached Terion in Detroit, and many prominent people, this is the part that kind of makes it even more interesting. Many prominent people, such as Nick Saban and Sauce Gardner, have testified on behalf of his character. Nick Saban coached him at Alabama. And so 60, 36, 4. Here's the facts of the case as we know them, reported by CBS Sports. He could face life in prison, which is kind of weird because it says here, in February, Arnold and some of his friends were robbed so they were robbed for up to $250,000. People took their property. Then, this is where it gets weird, they decided to take matters into their own hands, and they gathered 3 men they believed were responsible for the robbery. Those 3 men, who were actually apparently innocent, that was not so good planning, were allegedly jumped, pistol whipped, and held at gunpoint and had personal property taken. That's where they're taking back their property that was originally stolen, but they took it from the wrong people. This is not good. And then it says Arnold was not present for the assault. So he wasn't even there. But police say he was able to watch what happened via a live stream. Investigators now claim that Arnold was the primary conspirator. So basically, Terion Arnold came up with a bad idea. That's what they want to put him away for life for. This was a very bad idea, Terion. Stupid. But it seems to me he didn't do anything violent. He just came up with an idea that was not good. Chief Judge Christopher C. Sabella is presiding over the case in Florida and has already denied the state's request to keep Arnold behind bars until the trial. That means he's on home confinement. Prosecutors also argued that Arnold should have to wear an ankle monitor, but that motion was denied. Cornerback has to remain at home in Florida unless it's for a work or legal related matter that includes training camp, should a team sign him. And that's all we got here. So what a weird case. They get their stuff stolen, and then they come up with this stupid idea to trap these people they think stole it from them and hold them at gunpoint and take their stuff back. But it turns out those people that they did that with were not the ones who stole it from them. So this is all just amateur hour. Stupid things going on. But it seems to me, now the other thing is that a lot of people have come out on behalf of Terion Arnold in terms of his character. They're submitting letters to the court and all this, including Nick Saban, saying they never saw anything in his character that he was a bad guy in any way, shape, or form. Apparently, he's very polite. Even the people who were on the periphery of this stupid plan, like people around in the neighborhood and stuff, they said, yeah, the Terion Arnold kid, he was very polite and nice. But those other people he was with, they were, kind of rough. So basically, it's kind of looks like he's a good kid who just got into a weird and terrible situation. And he didn't do anything violent, really. He just came up with a bad idea. So I don't know how this is going to go. Obviously, we got to wait and see. This is just the reporting we have so far. But to me, it seems like a situation where Arnold is probably going to roll on the other dudes, right? This is how the real world works. Arnold is the cops, the people prosecuting this are going to say, listen, Terion, if you plead guilty to some small charge and you give us all the information about these other people who actually did the bad thing, then, we'll let you plead out to this small charge. You'll probably get probation or something. I bet you. But we don't know. It could be more facts in the case. I'm no lawyer. One thing we should know, Frankie is not a lawyer. So I'm just guessing from what it seems like from the reporting right now. He's going to roll on these other people. And these other people are going to go to jail. Now, that's not great for his life because then once they get out, they're going to be very mad at him. But that's not our problem. The way I see it is we might be able to get a first-round talent to be a backup on our team. And sure, he might get suspended for 6 games or something. But if he's just a backup and we're just trying to improve the backup situation, and we could do so for a minimal contract, and he doesn't get found guilty of anything violent or anything crazy, and he just says, yeah, I came up with this stupid idea. It was crazy. I fell in with a bunch of roughnecks. I don't know. But, I don't know. Could be a smart move. Could be. And so far, 60% of the voting public agrees. 36% said no. 4% said it depends on what Joe Benigno says about it. So, Superfan says, we must not like our cornerback room. Well, he would be a replacement for Quantez Stiggers, basically. Is he an upgrade over Stiggers? Yeah. So the way I see it is it's a good way to add depth, especially if he didn't do anything terrible and it plays out the way I said. where he just fell in with a bunch of roughnecks and he came up with this stupid idea and da da da. Now he's all sorry. And it's kind of weird anyway. I mean, it was a dumb thing to do. They had $250,000 stolen from them, and they said, "We're going to steal it back." I mean, it's understandable that you'd want to do that, but it's ultimately pretty dumb. And what are you doing hanging around with these people anyways? But nonetheless. So, I don't know. As long as it's not too serious. And then if it comes out that actually he did a bunch of violent stuff or whatever, then you just release him. There's no harm, no foul. Phil the Jet Adams says, "How good is Arnold?" Well, he's been a disappointment based on his draft position. So he was drafted in the first round, but he has not played like a first rounder. So he hasn't been great. But is he better than Quantez Stiggers? Yeah, probably, almost certainly. So he's been somewhat disappointing based on where he was drafted. But I'm thinking about him as a backup. So he's better than what we got. He's better than Quantez Stiggers, basically. What an idiot. Yeah, stupid thing. It was a stupid move. There's no doubt about that. Joe Mike says, "What's wrong with these Arnolds?" Way back when Tom married Roseanne. Roseanne Arnold. Tom Arnold. Roseanne Barr. Tom Arnold. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's something with the name. Tom Arnold was a comedian. Was Tom Arnold ever funny? That's what you got to ask yourself. For example, Roseanne Barr is hysterical and always has been. Roseanne Barr is she would be an icon, really. But she's also like she has some wild opinions. But she's always been funny. Like Roseanne Barr has always been hysterically funny. And she's a comedian. That's her job. So that works out. Tom Arnold, was Tom Arnold ever funny? Did he ever say a joke that made you laugh? That's the weird part. I don't blame him marrying Roseanne. She's a funny lady. Why wouldn't you marry Roseanne? I'm marrying Roseanne Barr right now. You could do a lot worse than laughing all day while you're while you're going, while you're putzing around the house, laughing your head off with your funny ass wife. That'd be there's a lot worse fates. Jojo says, "I think sometimes these guys forget they're professional athletes and need to separate themselves from past friendships. Change of scenery might help Arnold." Yeah, I agree. It's not clear how he got associated with these people, these other people. Like I said, the people around the periphery of this case, I read another article, not in this article here. They were like, yeah, Arnold was totally different than these other people. He was polite. He was kind of quiet and respectful. These other people were like thugs and roughnecks, or something like that, they said. So how the heck do you get involved with these people? I think this is one of the big problems that modern day athletes do have, is who to keep around them and who not to keep around them. I think that's part of the problem with Geno Smith and this lady who seems like a complete wackadoodle, but we don't know. I think that's kind of what happened with him. He got involved with some wackadoodle and now she wants money. But it's very, very hard for these guys sometimes. And it's weird it's weird about Geno, because what I understand is he has a good family, a good mother, good father, like no domestic issues as far as we know growing up, as far as I understand. He went to a very good school down here in Florida, from what I understand. Was always thought to be very smart. And so, if you have a good family around you, some of these people come from terrible situations, and then you're like, oh, okay, I understand. But but if you're coming from a good family and you have family around you and siblings and so forth, you got to lean on them to be your inner circle, because everybody else you meet is going to be wanting money. This is basically the thing. They don't like you. They like your money, buddy. It's kind of a problem. We pay these people so much money, and it's so out of whack with a normal person's existence. Like, think about a normal person, their daily life, how much money they're making. And then they meet Geno Smith, for example, who makes 20, 30 million dollars. It's like money that you can't even imagine as a normal person. Like, I can't imagine what $20 million is. What the fuck is that? It's like, yeah, I can imagine $20, uh, 20 million. That's crazy. So they have to deal with having, I mean, it's a nice problem to have, of course, but there are problems, champagne problems, but problems with having all this money. So it's a problem. They have to deal with it. These athletes do have to deal with this. Sharon says, Knicks got Mr. Drummond. Jets don't need Arnold. What you talking about, Willis? Yeah, they didn't get Malik Willis. So, yeah, bring back all the old television shows. They should do that. They should bring back all the old television shows, like a refresh. Welcome Back, Kotter, The Jeffersons, Good Times. They should bring back all these shows. Just do a refresh. Why not? They were good shows. WKRP in Cincinnati. I love that show. I always wanted to be Johnny Fever, to be honest with you. But alas, corporate world didn't allow you. Joe Mike, remember Woody says thinking is overrated. Yeah, as I've explained, I think maybe 100 times, what he meant is that doing is better than thinking. He was trying to say, we can think something's going to work, but we actually have to prove it on the field. Of course, in his stupid Woody way, he didn't express it properly, as always. But that's what he meant. But yeah, thinking in and of itself is not overrated, of course. Let's stop bringing that up, shall we, Joe? It's lowbrow stupidity. Arnold in Happy Days. Oh, yeah. What about Arnold in Happy Days? He was a lovely fellow. What about Fat Albert Arnold? Yeah, a lot of Arnolds. Phil, sportsmen the world over suffer from too much money, not enough brains. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because they have to spend their whole life practicing their sport, right? How much intellectual investigation or, how many books are they going to get to read? How much are they going to care about their education on other topics? They have to spend their whole lives practicing this goddamn sport that they love and want to be a professional, right? How much time is left for reading books and learning about anything other than their sport that they're locked in on? It's kind of an interesting thing. There are very few sportsmen, sportswomen, sports people really can have an intellectual diversity and learn how to think. That's the problem. That's the beauty of a liberal arts education. Me and Deuteronomy went to New Paltz. We got a liberal arts education. And some people say, well, that's worthless. What good is learning about these books, Frankie? What good is it reading Shakespeare? Yeah, reading these people. John Steinbeck. All these people. What good is that? Well, it teaches you how to think. It sets you up for life. And then after that, I went and got an MBA, which is more useful. But that's the beauty of a liberal arts education. And these guys, we're one of the things that's really bad now, or it's even worse, is because now we're paying these athletes in college millions and millions of dollars. Bryce Underwood got 12 million. 12. Bryce Underwood, a freshman, a true freshman at Michigan, got 12 million. And he stunk as a freshman. He's probably going to be good, but you're paying these kids. And it's like, it's a weird thing because if you say, well, we shouldn't pay these kids, then everybody jumps down your throat and says, wait a minute, they're making all this money for the university and you're not going to pay them, these poor children. How are you not going to give children money? But now they get so much money, some of them, the top of the top. Most of them don't get anything, but it used to be the thing that you got was a scholarship, and you should have then taken that free education and made use of it. That was the idea. But that wasn't good enough. Then we got to pay them cash money. And now all these guys are making all this money. How much are they giving a shit about learning anything. I don't got to learn nothing. I just got to be good at football, right? So hopefully, some of them, the smart ones, actually take their education seriously as well as the football. There's plenty of time. You can do both, but a lot of them don't. If you're making $12 million and you're Bryce Underwood, how much are you going to give a fuck about a William Shakespeare poem? Be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I make $12 million to play football, not to think about to be or not to be, And it's understandable. It's understandable, but that's how you can very easily fall into these problems. Arnold could room with Gino. Well, from all indication, Gino's a good guy. He does some stupid things sometimes. I don't know what. Gino's very smart. And I did a lot of research on Gino once we got him. All indications are he's a very smart cookie, but it's like, I don't know. He does these silly things like not taking his license with him. This is kind of ridiculous. Jojo, that's what's missing from nighttime television. Good shows. Now everything is reality TV. Yeah. And plus, you have the built-in advantage. If you would just refresh these shows, everybody already knows them from a marketing standpoint. Everybody already knows these shows, and a lot of people love them. So you'd have to do it the right way. It makes, because it's a little risky, because some people be like, this new version sucks. But from a marketing standpoint, you already have name brand recognition, which is step one in any marketing campaign. And you don't have to come up with a totally new IP. You already kind of have the template. You just have to write new scripts within. You already have the characters. You already know kind of like the themes of the show and how things generally go. Just have to write new dialogue. Seems like a good idea, but I'm not a network executive. I'm not no network executive. Dodester says, I never got an. Well, you should. Everybody should get an MBA. You learn about the business. Just a BA and 2 associates. Double associates and a Bachelor of Arts. Yeah, but at least you got the Bachelor of Arts from old New Paltz. And, I bet that served you well. Of course, I played sports in college. I'm a New Paltz baseball legend. And not everybody is. I mean, Dode's over here is, rugby, New Paltz rugby legend. But at that time, there was no money. New Paltz. Hey, did you hear, Dode's? New Paltz is now part of the New Jersey Sports Association or something like that. You see that? They're out of the SUNYX. They're in the New Jersey Sports Association or something. It's pretty stupid. But they're all excited about it. But back in those days, there was no money. We barely had enough money to maintain the field. We had to paint the lines on the field ourselves. Our starting catcher was out there putting the foul lines on, the chalk. We didn't have no money. Give us money. What money? So we didn't have to worry about it. So we had to take our studies pretty seriously. So otherwise, we wouldn't be able to earn a living. Joe Mike says, Gino has enough money to have someone drive him around. Yeah, that's been already stated by people, and obviously he doesn't want to do that. And one of the reasons he doesn't want to do that is because he also has luxury vehicles. This is something else that the Joe Mike mind can't comprehend. He doesn't own a Ford, Taurus. He's not driving around in a Volkswagen Jetta, Joe. He has luxury vehicles, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, okay, a Maybach. You know how much a Maybach is? Okay. You don't get those cars to have somebody else drive them, Joe. Think, man. Think for yourself instead of just reading what other people are saying and repeating it. So he's got all these luxury vehicles, and And part of the joy of having these very expensive cars is like, driving them. Just take your license, Gino. The funny thing is, he actually had a good point. One of the times he got pulled over, the cop was like, I ran your plate and it's not registered to this vehicle. And Gino's like, yeah, I got a bunch of vehicles. I switched the plates. And Gino asked him, why did you run the plate? Because it's true that you're really only supposed to run the plate if the guy does something else wrong. So he was saying, what did I do to make, now he didn't ask it in the right way, but, in a way that's conducive to getting out of that situation. Should never be antagonistic with the police. That's just a losing thing. But like, why did you run the plate? Like, that's a legitimate question, because you're not just supposed to be sitting there running random plates. That's ridiculous. So Gino had a good point, actually. But, when you're with a cop, you can't be antagonistic. That's not going to go well for you. So, but the idea is, yeah, he gets these cars to drive them. They're luxury vehicles. They're amazing machines. They're not a Ford Taurus, Joe. Come on. Now, after he's been drinking, yeah, that makes sense. But if in these recent cases, that hasn't been the situation. But yeah, if he goes out for a few drinks, obviously call Uber. But yeah, you buy these vehicles because you like driving like some of the best cars ever made. But you should carry your license. God's sakes. People are talking about soccer. Soccer is ending here soon, so that'd be good. The World Cup. World Cup has been great for the U.S. economy. Dode says, I paid for my new pilot's education with bowling tournament scholarship money from high school. We couldn't win money in high school, so they got around it by giving out scholarship funds instead. Well, see, Dode's figured it out. He figured out how to get money. Oh, there's money over here at a bowling thing? Okay, I'm going to become good at bowling. All right. Look, sometimes you had to be creative in life. Sometimes you had to bowl it's called bowling for dollars for a reason. Right? Bowling for dollars. Well, all right. Segment number 2 on the old show. We had another story come out from Iri Mairov. Here's my X account. You should follow me on X at Flatbush Frankie. If you want to be entertained, if you want to have the best hot takes and funny takes and on sports, follow Flatbush Frankie. But old Iri Mairov says head coach Mike McDonald says there was one person he reached out to for advice before the Super Bowl versus the Patriots, who helped a lot. But he won't say who, because there might be a conflict of interest. But it was not Bill Belichick. I wonder who that could be. Put in the chat who you think. There's a shady situation. Who do you think would give Mike McDonald privileged information about Josh McDaniels' offense, I wonder? Mike McDonald, as we all know, before he was the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, he was a defensive coordinator for University of Michigan. What was the University of Michigan getting up to recently? I don't know. And then he was with the Ravens as well. So put in the chat who you think helped out old Mike McDonald against the Patriots and Josh McDaniels' offense. Who could it possibly be? Chat has gone quiet. Nobody knows. Deuteronomy says a Harbaugh. what would a Harbaugh have to do with preventing the Patriots from winning another Super Bowl with Josh McDaniels? Who would know about Josh McDaniels' offense so intimately that he could help out a Mike McDonald, one of the better defensive minds in the NFL, mind you? Who would he need to go to for him, one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, one of the brightest people, apparently, in the whole NFL? Who would he need to go to figure out Josh McDaniels' offense? I don't know who's out there that might give a Michigan man help in a shady fashion. Toad's got it. Toad's got it. There it is. The shadiest man in NFL history. Shady Tom Brady. Mike McDaniel, Michigan guy. Tom Brady, Michigan guy. Definitely Brady. Since he worked with McDaniels, he probably gave him all his quirks and tricks. What a scumbag. Tom Brady, how could you do this to us Patriot fans? The amount of people saying Harbaugh is concerning. Do y'all not actually listen to the clips? I'm going to guess it was Brady, since Kubiak was going to the Raiders. Shady Tom Brady. If it's shady, it's Tom Brady. If it's shady, it's Tom Brady. Anything shady in the NFL, it's Tom Brady of the NFL. Yeah, it's Tom Brady, of course. If it's shady, it's Tom Brady. Always. Shady Tom Brady has been involved in every NFL scandal the last 30 years. It's always Tom Brady. It's always Tom Brady. So, yeah, Tom Brady gave information to Mike McDaniel in the Super Bowl to help him beat the Patriots because he wanted, for a number of reasons. One, doesn't want the Patriots to win more Super Bowls without him. Two, Kubiak was going to the Raiders, so now they could say Super Bowl winning, offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, now the head coach of the Raiders, where he's a minority owner. So it makes Kubiak look better, makes the Patriots look worse, and he is the one who spent all those years with McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, to give him the kind of in-depth knowledge that McDonald couldn't get anywhere else. There's really only one person who would know that offense to the level and degree that Tom Brady would know it. More than you could, things that you can't get just by watching tape and whatnot. All the little tiny details. So yeah, if it's shady, it's Tom motherfucking Brady every time. Every time. If it's shady, it's Tom Brady. Every time. It's a big problem. I mean, at some point, the NFL is going to have to say this guy can't be part of the media. I mean, for one thing. Like, you can be part of the media or you can be part of an ownership group, but you can't be both. It's a little ridiculous. So, yeah, interesting nugget there. The only other nugget in the news, segment 3, I guess, the Seattle Seahawks have a new owner. Let's see which one of these we'll pull up here. Seattle Seahawks have a new owner. So they got sold. I guess let's put this one from Schechter. Largest sale prices. So let's take a look. So the Seattle Seahawks got purchased by a group being led by San Francisco 49ers limited partner Vinod Khosla, agreeing to purchase the Seahawks for $9.6 billion. $9.612 billion. And so this is the second largest sale price for a professional sports team, which means, of course, that the Jets franchise value just went up. Because if the Seahawks are worth 9.612, the Commanders sold, remember, a couple of years ago, the Commanders went for 6.05. And now the Seahawks coming off of Super Bowl, so a good timing decision by the estate of Paul Allen. They said, hey, we won the Super Bowl. The price of the franchise is never going to be higher. Good idea. Let's sell it. 9.612 billion. It's hard to even imagine these numbers. Dollars. So the Seahawks, 9.6. The Jets got to be, the Jets got to be around 15 by now. Geez. 12, 13. So basically, Woody Johnson just got a little richer. So if you hate Woody, hey, now's even more reason to hate him. But this is a guy who, a tech guy, so from the West Coast. So originally from India, so he's a legal immigrant story. One of these good stories. He went to this guy Vinod Khosla went to Carnegie Mellon University for one of his undergrad degrees, and then went to Stanford, and then was made lots of money in the tech world, and I don't know where I was going with that, but so 9.6. So if they're selling the Seahawks for 9.6, how much are the Jets worth? Which is good for the Johnson family, but it's not really good for getting limited partners. If they ever wanted to get some new limited partners, which they don't seem to be interested in wanting to do, then that's going to cost those limited partners more, because the perceived value has to be much higher than it was before this sale. So that's probably the only other thing in the news of note that I can see. Tom Brady, the Lance Armstrong of the NFL. Well, Tom Brady is much worse than Lance Armstrong, I would say. Every single shady thing that's ever happened. Armstrong was a cheater, okay. So was Brady, okay. But he also did a bunch of other shady shit as well. Phil says, so Woody will sell after the Jets win the Super Bowl. That's a win-win. No. I don't think so. Why would Woody sell? So the reason that the Seahawks got sold is because it was in a trust. Remember, it was purchased by Paul Allen, and then it went to his sister as part of a trust. And in the documents that he said it has to be sold within a certain period of time. And then the money, and then because he wanted the cash money to come into the trust, and then they're going to distribute the money to philanthropic things. So she had to sell it at some point because the trust instructed her to do so. And so made perfect sense. They win the Super Bowl. Sell it now. This is in the window. Legally good. 9.6. I can get a lot of money. Perfect. But she was obligated to sell the team and then use the money proceeds for philanthropic purposes as directed by Paul Allen before he died. So that situation does not pertain to the Johnsons at all. They're under no obligation to sell ever. And why would they? It's a unique asset in the portfolio of the Johnson family. As we all know, Woody has relatively young kids. They're going to take it over. And then their kids and their kids. Why would they ever sell it? Just because you don't like Woody? It's not going to work. Deuteronomy says, would the value of the Jets be hampered due to the stadium's? No, that has nothing to do with anything. What does that have to do with anything? People forget that even though you don't like Woody and even though you don't like MetLife Stadium is one of the most profitable venues in all of the world. So just because you don't like something doesn't mean that that opinion has any business value. MetLife Stadium, first of all, is its own separate business. And so if the Johnson family wanted to sell the Jets, they'd probably might sell also their half of the MetLife business. MetLife is a separate business. So think of it like the Johnson family owns the Jets 100%. They own 50% of the MetLife business. Think of that stadium as a business, which it is. It's a venue. And then they own the Johnson Company. That's the hedge fund, and they own a few other small things. So why would they ever? They're all cash flow positive. They're all tremendous businesses. Why would they ever sell them? Just keep handing it down, keep it in the family, and have your kids and their kid and everybody run these businesses. They're amazing businesses. Well, why would they sell? You have it's like telling the Walton family to sell Walmart. Why? It's probably one of the greatest businesses of all time. Why would the Walton family ever sell Walmart? It's an incredible business. Walmart is an amazing business. They have so much cash. It's unbelievable. So, like, are you going to tell the Walton family to sell Walmart? No. I mean, why? It's amazing. Owning a business like these is rare and hard to do. You know how hard it is Woody had advantages, but if you start a business from scratch, some people did, like Arthur Smith of the Falcons started Home Depot, I think, from scratch. And it became a huge, huge success. You know how hard that is to do? And then you're just going to sell it because some people don't like you? No. Yeah, get the hell out of here. There's only one man on planet Earth that could get Woody Johnson to sell the Jets. There's one man, perhaps the greatest salesman and greatest marketer of all times. Only one man could make it happen. But otherwise, no. So Joe Mike says, Gillette Stadium officially removed its temporary natural grass field from World Cup. MetLife is next. Yeah, MetLife is going to have a thin layer of grass, and then that's it. Then they'll put back the artificial turf for the NFL season, as far as I know. So there you go. That's what's in the news. Let me know if there's any other topics. Last call for comments, questions, concerns. In the meantime, take a look at. This has got to be one of the better columns about the Jets you're going to find on the internet. Go to frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. You could get columns like this. We're talking about Michael Walker. Quotes he has. Here's some stats, some data you could take a look at. Then we're talking about training camp being different this year. And we got these training camp practices. It's going to be a little different because of construction, so it's not going to be as open as it normally is. So you might have to figure out something to do with your children other than this. Offensive line rankings came out. How do we do there? We go over that. What did Azaria Thomas say about D'Angelo Bonds? you might want to know. We got an interview over here. Then we got Geno Smith, So check it out. Frankie from Flatbush.substack.com. Phil says, when's the next show, Frankie? Well, the next show is going to be next week for sure. Coffee with Frankie, 10 a.m. Sundays. The weekly shows, it's going to depend on the news. If nothing happens in Jetland, I'm probably not going to do any videos. I am working on a very large project. And so I would encourage people to sign up also for the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle members are going to get a ton of value as soon as I'm done with this project. But basically all throughout this season, the Inner Circle members are going to get just phenomenal value. So sign up for it now. And if all goes well, the price of that is going to go way, way up. If this project turns out as well as I think it will, but we'll have to see. The price of the membership levels is going to go way, way up because it's going to be so much value that I'm giving people that the price just has to go up. So join now. Join now while the prices are very low. There's 3 different levels, fits every budget. Click the join button down below. The Inner Circle, that's where it's at. Eventually, the Inner Circle members are going to get a bunch more videos with tons of value in them that can't really be released to the general public. It's just way too valuable. We cannot release this stuff to just anybody. No. Nope. No way. So we got to, because it's just too, it's just the value of it is just so insane. So I would say join the Inner Circle. Now, the Substack is free, so I would say sign up for that. There's going to be really good information coming through there, columns, info, just, things that catch my eye, breakdowns, profiles, coaching profiles, player profiles, etc. So that's free, and you get that directly into your inbox. Boom. But then, in addition, the membership is going to get you so much value for this NFL season. It's really, really worth it. So check it out. Click the join button today. Striker says he's a member. Off topic, but I'm excited for the NBA season. Kawhi is coming home, baby. I don't know what that means, but the Knicks already won the NBA title. I don't know how it could possibly be more exciting than the Knicks winning after 53 years and the way they did, coming back with all of that. I'm not really into basketball anymore. It's generally very boring, although I did find the Knicks run pretty exciting, and I think Jalen Brunson's a pretty unique player, and they just had a great team this year, and so that was fun to follow. But yeah, I'm not going to be covering the Knicks. I'm not going to be covering the NBA. I'm not going to be covering baseball. I'm not going to be covering soccer. We do the Jets here. We do football here. We do the Jets here. So yeah, that's the topic of this channel. So thanks for joining this Sunday. I'll see you guys next week.